Welcome everybody on the live and the replay. This is Misty Magdalena Grace. I go by Magdalena for short, and I'm just super excited today to be talking about something that I'm launching this month. Effective today, actually, I am launching a new community, and I know some of you guys have been following me for a while. It seems like I've been peeling back the layers more and more of what it is that I'm here to serve people with. And since the past 2.5, almost 3 years now, I've been studying sacred plant medicine, specifically microdosing, as well as macrodosing. But today we're talking about primarily microdosing. I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. I've got a lot of great content, and this is what we're going to be learning about, and I'll be sharing with you today. So first things first, have you ever wanted to try microdosing? Now, if you're catching this maybe on the live stream or in my YouTube channel sometime later, you maybe don't know at the beginning of this what the heck microdosing is. So by the end, my goal is to share that with you. It may help with the following: anxiety, sleep issues, helping you deepen your meditation or spiritual practice, help you focus, help with grief recovery, addiction recovery, and so much more. And I'm really excited to be talking to you today about how you can also enjoy it inside of a community and get lasting results. As you know, I'm also the creator of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, and just really excited about my podcast. And I'm now transitioned into microdosing, plant medicine, shamanic healing, inner child healing, all of the things that my new podcast is going to be sharing with the world. And again, today, at the time of this recording, August 4th, we're going to be talking about the subscription community launch and how it can be of service to you or someone you know and care about that may be struggling with mental, physical, or even spiritual health challenges. So my intention to cover today is the science and spirituality of sacred plants in microdosing. How does this work? Okay. The health, and yes, even the wealth or financial relationships. There's so many different benefits around abundance. It went far beyond mental health and physical health and spiritual health for me. There's also side effects that you're going to want to be aware of. I'll share with you my story, and then of course, I'll share about my microdosing community launch this month. So I ask today that you come with an open mind. An open mind leaves a chance for someone to drop a worthwhile thought in it, by Mark Twain. So park your belief systems at the door if you can, and just come in with an open mind and open heart. Because maybe you're a little skeptical. Maybe you were like me when I first started. Is this really going to work? Is this really going to help? Because I was so lost. And why was I lost? Well, at the time of the time that I started microdosing, I had already lost 8 friends to suicide, actually more by the time I officially started. My parents and my brother had died in a very back-to-back short, almost 2-year time span. I had already thrown myself into work and drinking habits that were escape mechanism. I was a binge drinking workaholic. Completely uncertain in my marriage. I'd become very codependent with my husband, very isolated in a lot of respects. And with all of this going on, oh, by the way, I'm a mom of 2, and I felt like a worthless mom. I wasn't there for my kids. I wasn't present. I was also lost in my career, not feeling fulfilled, just kind of going through the motions on the hamster wheel. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. Then came this thing called the pandemic. Right? And we were homeschooling, shelter in place in March of 2020, never having done homeschooling before. And ultimately, I already said this, I was totally numb to life and on the hamster wheel. So a friend said to me, why don't you play with ayahuasca psilocybin? I didn't know anything about it at the time. And he said that this will be the next step in you remembering who you truly are. And so he gave me that little tip, and it set me on a path. I read this book by Michael Pollan, very common, popular book, How to Change Your Mind, What the New Science of Psychedelics Teaches Us About Consciousness, Dying, Addiction, Depression, and Transcendence. Now, here's the key. This is really important. I don't actually say I work with psychedelics. I'm not a fan of that word, even though it's very, very popular, especially in the 60s and the 70s. Psychedelic itself means mind manifesting. So scientists studied it for how it was impacting the head brain, and were very intrigued by that. There's been a lot of controversy actually about those studies. And as we all know, Richard Nixon and that administration shut it down. Said this is illegal. This is not cool. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that now that I've studied and gone on this path. And there's so much more to these sacred plants than just focusing on our head brain and being in an altered state of consciousness. I do want to be an advocate for that. It's all a part of our beingness and how it helps us come back into that, creating spaciousness in our life. What I didn't have in my life in 2020 was spaciousness. I didn't have a slowness. I didn't slow down and smell the roses. I was in the doing. I didn't realize it was also a very societal driven, trauma driven in my discovery, grief stricken and driven, just autopilot. It was a very, what I call wounded masculine focus. So what that means is I was in the doing side, which is the masculine left side of the brain. We have two hemispheres in our head brain, where we have the doing, the masculine, the being, the feminine. So as you look at the slide, the left side talks about analytics, logic, ideation, facts, math, training, learning, which is all beautiful, right? However, we are supposed to be balanced. That's why we're bipeds. We have two sides, right? A right and a left. Even if like one of your sides is imbalanced, what happens? You have an injury, you have pain. So our being side of our brain is the creativity, the intuition, the arts, the creation, the feeling, the imagination, and that is the feminine side. So I had completely shut down the beingness, which was the feminine, and was in the doing. Excuse me. I also learned a lot through this journey, connecting back to Carl Jung. He is a brilliant psychologist and study of the unconscious mind, the shadow also known as. And he says, no tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Now that may sound controversial. I'm not talking about religion here. This is more of a philosophy. If you think of heaven, heaven's considered way, way high. Hell is considered below us. And if you reach and expand your body, you reach and expand your spine, you reach and expand, the higher we go, then the more we can reach down and be able to really, really understand our truth. The more we look inside of ourselves, which is what I wasn't doing, by the way, the more we can heal. We can't heal what we can't feel. We can't heal what we can't name. And now some people are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do plant medicine because I'm pretty happy. Or they'll say, I'm pretty status quo. I'm pretty okay. And I'm like, that is your choice. You are a sovereign being. I know that I felt dead inside. I had lots of money. I had an amazing family, but I was feeling really, really dead inside. And so what I had to do, what I chose to do with the help of these sacred plants, was to go within to find the reasons why, which for better or for worse, took me into a journey of reaching down to hell in order to then have a stronger foundation and to bless and release that which no longer serves me. Because you got to remember, this is Psychology 101. Freud and a lot of different people talk about this. We became who we are in utero is where we started. Then there's the whole ancestral thing. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but when you started from 0 to 7, you were an emotional being. You were crying for your food. You were crying to be changed. If you were angry, you let your parents know it. Now, dependent upon how responsive your caretakers were, you might seem to have a pretty good childhood, but here's the honest truth. Even if you didn't get your bottle in time, that's a micro trauma. If you had that happen repeatedly, those are a lot of micro traumas where you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, maybe you don't feel loved from that child soul perspective, which is where you also develop your karma. So a lot of emotions were being emoted and shared, as well as love and happiness and joy and laughter, right? Babies laughing, who doesn't love that? Then we moved on to develop our mental side of ourselves. 7 to 14, we went to school. We started developing our brain at a faster rate, learning languages, learning reading, writing, arithmetic, right? The typical institutional stuff. But we also learned how to make friends. We learned how to communicate our needs better, because when we were emotional beings, we couldn't maybe communicate them, verbally. And you're learning how to develop, connections with people as well, and asking for what you want, etc. Now, again, depending upon how much of an impact you had in that time frame, there could have also been more traumas. Not feeling seen, not feeling heard, any kind of trauma could have started already. I know people who've even had sexual trauma at that young of an age. All of these are impacting your mental development. Then between 14 and 21 is when you are really developing physically. Puberty, right? We're growing breasts, we're growing facial hair and all of these different body hairs and things of that nature. We're having desires, right? Sexual desires, sexual cravings, developing relationships, becoming men, becoming women, then graduating from high school, going to college or not going to college, starting business, not starting business, starting a family or not starting a family. But you were developing. And that's where a lot of additional traumas could happen as well. You're learning to drive a car, you could have car accidents, so on and so forth. So think about all the things that happen for you, not to you. Again, I learned that none of this happened to me, it happened for me. To wake up, to remember who I truly am, and to really heal a lot of the stuff that I couldn't in the first 21 years of my life. Then we aren't actually fully developed. Some people say our brain isn't complete until age 25. Some say 30. So I say 25 to 30. And think about it. If you start a family in that time frame, I was still doing like Ironman triathlons and marathons. Our bodies are also still developing, right? And if you had injuries and different things like that, I was an athlete. So there was a lot of injuries in my 20s that impact the body and impact the mind. And of course, there's the emotional aspects. We are emotional, mental, and physical beings with a divine spirit or soul within us. So that's the spiritual component. I haven't even talked about that yet. So think about all you're carrying in your body. Think about all of the emotions that maybe didn't get met, the needs, the mental development, the thoughts, the ego. And then you have the physical stuff that we also retain in our body, and nutrition, and all of it impacts us. And healing isn't linear. I will say this, I've done a lot of healing and I'm not done. So it's all about healing and integrating. Integration means to make whole or complete, to come full circle with your integrity, integrate integrity of being able to take what you learn from whatever healing modality. It doesn't have to be plant medicine, but take it and apply it. I used to be addicted to healing, and I'd be doing this modality, that modality, this modality, that modality, and I would never really fully apply it, which again is another version of masculine doing. Allowing your body to integrate with plant medicine or any healing modality is important. And how we do that, again, is just like the last slide said, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Mind, body, spirit. And I love this slide. The mind says, I'm worried. Heart says, just relax. Mind says, but I'm totally lost now. Heart says, just follow me. Mind, but you've never been here before. Heart, trust me, you'll love it. Soul, if you two would shut up, I'd show you the map. And to me, that's a great example of mind, body, spirit working together. And in this case, I do say spirit instead of soul, but soul, spirit to me is interchangeable. I believe our souls are eternal, and we come into these bodies to learn a lot of karma, a lot of lessons, and honestly heal a lot of those subconscious or unconscious wounds. If we don't, guess what? we're going to pass them on to our children, our grandchildren. We're going to come back in another body and have to learn the same lesson. So it takes time. It does really help to slow down and focus. Because we do have those three parts to our body mind. We have the ego, the unconscious, also known as subconscious, and the superconscious. So I know a lot of us have been really taught a lot about the ego. The subconscious is a huge trend right now. And I do say trend because I do believe in some ways it's a bit of a distraction. I was there. I hired a subconscious mind coach and for a year or more. And I thought it helped me, but I was still coming from my ego. I was still coming from trauma and wounds in setting my goals and even healing that. So I was still trying to do the same thing that I was doing before, you know, and which was just doing more things, trying to have more healing modalities that weren't really getting to the root cause. And the only way we can really peel back the layers of those onions is go into our superconscious, our heart. Some people call it intuition. Some people call it higher self, psychic abilities and gifts. It's your, like, I call it that collective conscious energy that we, you know, quantum, you know, came in after we were born. It became a part of us and it connects us to everyone, the collective conscious or unconscious, as it were. So by being into your heart space more, by being into your intuition or your higher self more, you come back to who you truly are. Whereas our ego is trying to protect us because the ego says we don't want to feel those feelings that the subconscious is helping you feel. And yet, if you think about this, if 95% of your world and results are coming from your unconscious that is significantly wounded and traumatized, the ego is going to be talking a lot because it doesn't want you to feel. It's trying to protect you. But the more you let it, the busier the mind gets. And that's where the hamster wheel, the autopilot, knee-jerk reactions to life come from. Because we have three brains in our body, we can't just focus on the ego and even the subconscious, right? That's why the subconscious mind stuff didn't really work for me at the deepest level of who I truly am. I was still kind of comparing myself and still looking outside myself for stuff, right? And the head brain is our logic and intellect. The heart brain is our emotions and dreams. And the gut brain is instinct and intuition. Now, sometimes people say your heart is also your intuition. It's just 6 one, half a dozen the other. Go with whatever feels right in your mind. But if we don't focus on these three brains, for example, I didn't for the first 30 years of my life, and I ended up with depression and anxiety. The gut brain is our instinct and intuition. The gut brain is what helps us to grow and to develop and help us poop. And where 80% of our neurotransmitters and serotonin is created in that gut brain. So that's where nutrition and gut health is a huge part. So if we just focus on microdosing and trying to fix our brain, which, oh, by the way, that's not what it's about. We don't fix our brain. I have had people say that to me when they've hired me, and I've had to coach them accordingly, gently, that you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. We just have got to have these three brains in harmony, like mind, body, spirit. These are all connected to your beingness. And if you're in that doingness, trying to fix your gut, trying to fix your brain, trying to fix your heart, that's where we're missing the memo. And that's where plant medicine can help. The other thing, this is just more on the deep dive, but this is also part of what microdosing can do for you. If you've ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, there's a lot of great books out there that talk about our physiological needs of release. So if you've ever heard of somatic breath work, soma means body. Well, if you've had trauma, it gets stuck in the body. And if you don't heal it, that's where disease comes in. That's where you end up having a lot of health issues, mental health, physical health, and again, spiritual health. So I purged by throwing up, pooping, sweating, crying, and then actual physical somatic releases. And through that process, I released a lot of trauma. So then guess what? Because my gut brain was healthier, my head brain became healthier. I could focus more. I could make better, different decisions. The other use for entheogens, notice I changed the word there instead of psychedelic. I prefer plant medicine or entheogenic. Entheo means with the God within us, your higher self, your superconscious. There's even a book called The Psychedelic Gospels by Jerry Brown. It could be controversial depending on your upbringing. He shares how mushrooms have been around for millions of years, if not billions, before humans, by the way. And shamans for 3 to 4 to I don't know how many thousands of years now have been using them for healing, to go within and heal dis-ease. They don't believe in diagnoses like schizophrenia or high blood pressure or whatever. They don't have pharmaceuticals, or if they do, they don't consume them like we do them in America. People are addicted to pharmaceuticals, by the way. And so they want you to go within to connect with the God within, the divinity, the higher self, the superconscious. And when you do that with the help of these entheogens, you heal. You're a sovereign being. You're empowered from within instead of giving your power away to other things, institutions, food, addictions, whatever. And in the psychedelic gospels, if you can see this picture here, he said that Jesus used the mushroom as part of the wafer, part of the Last Supper. It's been utilized by so many different ascended masters and greatest teachers of all time. And the church shut it down out of power, control, and greed. So that, you know, if you think about it, if everyone is participating in this and coming from a sovereign space, we can't be sheeple anymore. We can't be blind followers anymore. And so that's the biggest reason I believe psychedelics were shut down in the 60s. There are dangers, though, I will say that. And that's why I'm came out of the spiritual closet to help people prevent those dangers, and knowing that this is not recreational. If Jesus was using it as part of his healing, do you think this is recreational? Probably not necessarily. Same thing with alcohol. These are spirits. These were used in sacred ceremonies back with our ancestors. And now look where we are. Same thing with cannabis. Cannabis has been legalized in most places. And guess what? There's people addicted to it because they're not using it in an entheogenic, sacred way. The Wisdom of Trauma, also a phenomenal documentary by Gabor Mate. He recommends ayahuasca in there and talks about that there's so much wisdom in studying your trauma. Most people, like myself included, wanted to shut it down, wanted to drink over it, work over it, sleep over it, whatever, social media scroll over it. And yet you've got to have space and time to really sit with and connect with that trauma. So can our deepest pain be a doorway to healing? Absolutely. So don't be afraid of it. Some people that are again saying, I'm status quo, I'm good, I am fine, right? Which is a favorite response. So someone says, how are you? Say, I'm fine. What does that mean? Really? What does that mean? So if you're ready to grow, if you're ready to go within, there's nothing more powerful and potent when done safely and sacredly than plant medicine. So what seeds are you wanting to plant with plant medicine? What do you want to unearth? And are you ready? Because guess what? If you're not, that's okay. I know I was desperate. I was at rock bottom proverbially, and I knew that I needed to do something different. And remember, every flower must go through dirt. My partner and I call our ceremonial space the lotus throne. If you think of the lotus flower, it grows in a lot of mud, a lot of muck. It can be really dirty water even. If you've ever seen lotus flower plants, we have some here in our botanical gardens, and it's kind of messy. But then when the lotus blooms out of that muck and mire, guess what? It's beautiful. And that's what's possible for you. The lotus is about rebirth, death, regeneration, and renewal. And that's what I want for you. Because what you resist persists. Your past will be your future until you have the courage to create a new one. So let's do this. If you're courageous, if you're feeling ready, if you're tired of being sick and tired, or you're tired of the same shit, different day, that tells you where I'm from Iowa originally, then it's time. What I got to work through, and heal might be a little bit strong of a word, because healing isn't linear. We don't have a straight path and all of a sudden, oh, everything's good, I'm good. We're going to be going with whatever process and continuing to heal and heal and integrate till the day we die. And even that is a healing and integration, right? But I worked on my mother-father wounds. My mom was schizophrenic. I had a lot of abandonment with her. My dad was emotionally shut down. I inherited a lot of his masculine wounds. Ancestral trauma, big one for me, huge. I didn't realize how much shame and grief and fear I was carrying from my ancestors many, 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 many generations back. My digestive issues, which caused my autoimmune disease, got amazingly improved and better. In fact, my autoimmune disease numbers improved drastically, my hormones, all of that. So again, the physical, those are the last symptoms to show up, just like that was the last of our development. Started with emotional, then mental, right? So that's why if you focus too much on just the physical or mental, you're never going to really heal and integrate properly. You'll be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of your life because that's what they tell you, right? Because you haven't gone to the emotional level. I also became conscious of my trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I have another slide about that, but that was very automatic. Fight or flight was huge for me because of my abandonment issues and traumas from those first 7 years. Huge, huge repetitive traumas. And now I'm grateful for them because now I understand them. Instead of just reacting to life, I can respond. I had so much grief and loss. I got to really reconnect with many loved ones on the other side of the veil, reframed my relationship with grief, actually. And again, still working through some guilt, shame, and fear. There's many layers of that onion. And really right now, we've been working on what I call the witch wound. Huge wound, by the way, for society and collective. No, by the way, as you heal the collective. And that's a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I shed nearly 40 pounds, although I will say as of today, I did gain a few of those back this summer. But it was all emotional, baggage related, right? And stuff that I carried in my mind. And I finally let go of that stuff. I had a huge positive impact on my marriage, my kids, and actually deeper, much, much deeper, more authentic friendships, as well as a huge career shift, as well as I changed my name to a spiritual name. So the gifts keep on giving, guys. So these were the trauma responses really quickly. Just wanted you guys to see examples of that. The fight or flight and fawn were my biggest ones, but any one of these can apply to you at any given time, any time of the day, actually, if you think about it. The flight is workaholic, overthinker, anxiety, panic, and OCD. Does anybody have that? I think I know most of society has that. Difficulty sitting still. That's where it's also hard to create that spaciousness. It comes from that flight response. And then, of course, perfectionist, always wanting to do more in order to have it be perfect, which, again, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Fight, anger, outbursts, controlling. I had quite a bit of that. The bully, explosive behavior, narcissism. Freeze, difficulty making decisions, stuck, disassociation, isolation, numbness. I see this in a lot of men, mostly, but it's in women too. Fawning, big time for me, especially in my career. People pleasing, lack of identities, no boundaries, overwhelmed, and codependent, which I struggled with that in my marriage as well as in my business. I depended upon other people too much for my success. Now, overall health benefits are endless. I don't know if you can see this very clear, but emotional openness, help quitting coffee and other substances like smoking and alcohol, relief from menstrual pain. That's a big deal. Heightened spiritual awareness or working on your spiritual gifts. better focus, higher levels of creativity, relief from depression, a huge one, more energy, less anxiety in social situations. This is also, we're right in the midst of this, guys, right now, age of Aquarius, the divine feminine energies, like I was talking about, that beingness energy. That's the age of Aquarius. So we're leaving the Piscean age. We're in transition now. We fully complete by the end of 2024, depending on who you talk to, but that's what I believe. So I respect anybody's opinion on this, but it's happening. It's why a lot of people are having trauma come up. It's why a lot of people are breaking up with their relationships. It's why a lot of people are quitting their jobs. It's not just the Great Resignation. It's been continuing. Healers are becoming extra powerful. More people are uncovering their psychic gifts and developing at a super fast rate, which can be terrifying. People need to earn a living in a meaningful way. That was what exactly was happening for me. I was making tons of money, but I didn't care because it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't meaningful. People are less willing to compromise in love. It's more difficult to conform. You have to find a way to live that allows your uniqueness to shine. You have something unique to offer to the world. So if you take a look at that, does any of that resonate with you where you are at right here, right now? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to work with that? Well, what I know, it doesn't work very well doing it on your own. I learned that the hard way. So did my husband. If you're ready to live your best life, like my clients have, here's some testimonials. 1 week into microdosing, this person was cutting back on their alcohol consumption and the shame they had around that. They noticed that their sense of smell was improving because, again, their gut brain was getting some healing. So they had 20 years of sense of smell being poor due to lots of sinus infections and sinus surgeries, in fact, and they had significant improvement. They didn't realize that the medicine could impact swelling and inflammation in his sinuses. Another client, this was a big one for a lot of people, is sleep. Do you sleep well 7 to 9 hours every night? A lot of people don't. Especially if you're an insomniac, I can help you. Between the microdosing and then my online meditations and breathwork classes, we dose and meditate before bed, and her life is so much better with powerful sleep and a balanced body-mind. This is another gentleman who had come because of chronic pain, but he also had, besides that, he had some sleep issues. He was drinking some alcohol and a lot of Diet Pepsis every day. And so he drinks less now, alcohol. He's sleeping better, dreaming more, which is a sign of healing, by the way. And he's also down to just 3 cans of soda in 4 weeks, as opposed to 2 to 3 a day. So that's with my 30-day microdosing jumpstart. One of the reasons these guys had such great results in 30 days or less is because I give them journal prompts every week. When you're in the microdosing path, this is not just swallow a pill or take a tincture underneath your tongue and then go about your everyday. Is really tuning in with, what will I let go? What will I release? What will I call in? And how will I stay the course when things don't go the way I think they should? Because guess what? Sacred plants don't care about your ego. It's very humbling. There's going to be some interesting shifts along the way, some interesting flare-ups of anxiety, possibly different physical stuff, different emotional stuff, right? Because you're working through all of that, the mental, physical, and the emotional. So you got to be able to keep going. And who's going to help you with that? You also want to help find that balance. Now, there's a lot of words on this slide, but I just show that the feminine and the masculine energies are so important to balance. So you can come from a more unconditionally loving place, understanding, nurturing, tenderness, kindness, intuitive. That is one of the biggest things I worked with the medicine. Having more stillness, more flow, more surrender. Natural masculine is about confidence, inner strength, focus, logic, support, stability, direction, protection, clarity, boundaries, courage, discipline, capable, being certain, and assertive. When they're wounded, you can't live your best life. And that's something we work on inside of my subscription. Other side effects to be aware of. In the first few days, there could be detox effects. There could be loose stools, brain fog, fatigue, cramping. That mostly happens with psilocybin, I will tell you, but it can also happen with ayahuasca. Can bring up trauma release 50% of the time. That's why I don't really ever think anyone should be doing this on their own. That's your choice. I just know that it was scary for me. I'll tell a little bit more of my story here in a few minutes. There can be some anxiety and sadness come up. There can definitely be that, because that's what it's trying to bust through. There can be your development of your spiritual gifts, which can be scary as well. I've had people freak out on some things and almost be afraid to tell me because it seems so scary and so surreal. But this is happening now, so we've got to talk about it. Your dreams could almost be speaking to you, or the medicine speaks to you through your dreams, so you can have some really scary dreams come up. I've had more of those as a result, again, to help me process and to work through some of this stuff. Your changes in your sleep could happen, so you want to be aware of that. Potential major life changes, like my career, my relationships, coming back to your true nature and purpose, can be scary as well. So you got to hold yourself, you got to mother yourself, you got to nurture yourself if you're doing this on your own. And then, are you really ready for what might come up for you? I've had some people with past life memories come up, and that can be scary. And that is not something, again, that you want to have to process on your own most of the time. It's also important to know that medication aren't always okay with plant medicines. It just depends. So talk to me privately and with your doctor before starting. So really quickly, I realized I didn't define this. I wanted to define it now. Probably could have done it sooner, but microdosing is 500 milligrams of psilocybin or less. And then when it comes to microdosing with Aya, which is my favorite, feminine energy, feminine medicine, it's a liquid. You put it under your tongue, 5 to 10 drops, and then you meditate with it, and then you swallow it, and then you have it in your system, and it impacts your digestive enzymes in your gut brain right away. So that's what microdosing is from those two medicines. And then, of course, macro, we're not talking about that today, but that's something that I can help you with as well. And that's usually, we're talking like 1 gram or higher of psilocybin and like 1, big cup of ayahuasca, or 2 or 3. And you can do both. I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a coach or a mentor. I did that where I didn't have that in the first 6 months, and it was really, really intense. So I actually stopped microdosing like almost right away because I had a very scary experience, like almost an anxiety attack. I also did not give up drinking during that time because I didn't have anyone holding me accountable, and I was actually really scared and judgmental and felt a lot of shame. So I just stopped and only did the macrodose, which was fine. But again, without a teacher, a mentor, a guide, an integration coach, I wasted a lot of time and a lot of money in the beginning of my journey. So I focused a lot on integration, and I took the first year off in my journey from 21 to 22. From 2021 to 2022, I didn't want to do microdosing because it was too much for me at that time. But then once I had integrated so much of the macro doses, I really started to co-create with the medicine, making small, sustainable, aligned actions and shifts daily. So I do want to remind you that this is not a quick fix. There is no such thing anyway, but I just know that some people feel like, hey, it's been 1 week. Shouldn't I be different? Not usually. You gotta build patience. And that's what I love about microdosing. It's like the compound effect of a bank account, or the compound effect of weight loss, or the compound effect of all sorts of, changes. It's small and sustainable. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. I created more spaciousness in my life because of microdosing, which then helped me in other areas of my life, in work and relationships, to set healthier boundaries because I respected my own healthy boundaries more. I built a solid meditation practice. I couldn't do very well that first year, but once I started microdosing, this helped me build that. It was progress over perfection. I failed forward for sure. Had better sleep hygiene, went to bed earlier, got up earlier because I wanted to meditate and sit with the medicine. So that was beautiful. And then, of course, I don't believe in the abstinence model, like just say no to whatever is the addictive behavior, unless of course if you need to go to rehab, that's not my area of expertise. Okay. Microdosing is not for people who are addicted to stuff. I will tell you that. That's why I didn't do it, because I was still addicted to alcohol and then social media, all of those things. But at the end of the day, if you shut down that area and then try to rely on the medicine to change that, you can often transfer one addiction to the plant medicine. Now, it's actually hard to get addicted to plant medicine, but you can build a tolerance. I know people who think, well, I'm just going to pop these pills and it will replace my cravings for alcohol or sugar or food or whatever. That's not necessarily the case, because there's got to be a lot of deeper work done there. I also started working on yoga and breath work, combining those with Kundalini yoga, and that helped me really reverse a lot of negative masculine wound habits for good. And that was, like I said, the masculine wound for me was OCD, overdoing, push, go, go, go. I don't do that. I mean, if I do, it's like 1% of what I used to. And then I had so much more grace and compassion, back to more of that feminine and masculine realignment. So sharing that with you, all of this with you, to think, how could any of this change your life for the better? Are you looking for that better change? Well, my vision is to help 1,000 people be and become super conscious creators of their best health, wealth, and wisdom in 2023 through microdosing. And so I have this new microdosing subscription launch as of today. This is like the pre-launch. I have this all the way through the end of the month. I know it's kind of a crazy time. It's the end of summer, so I know it's a little overwhelming, but this is going to be an ongoing opportunity for you to heal. And so I wanted to unveil to you the actual website, so you can actually go there now. Here's the good news, guys. There's no hard sales pitch today, because this is really just like an introduction. And part of my healing was no longer doing those hard to close sales pitches. So the website is www.microdosingforhealth.com. www.microdosingforhealth.com. And there's 2 levels as part of the subscription that I want to talk about today. And I'll actually bring you through, if I can. How can I find this here? I'm going to show you the website and get your thoughts, and any questions. You can go ahead and email me. I am totally open for even consultations to see if this is the right fit for you. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes, show you the site, microdosingforhealth.com. So this is called the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Microdosing and Integration subscription, because that's what I want for you. I want you to have your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. It's an affordable online wellness microdosing plant medicine community, helping you come back into alignment. It is great, even if you're not microdosing. Let's say you come in and you want to do some integration work with deep dive plant medicine, you can do that here. So part of this is included in my 5 fundamentals. There's breathwork classes, there's Kundalini yoga classes, there's meditation. There's something called super conscious creation, which really is a fancy word for that inner child healing, what I was talking about with Carl Jung, and really going deep within the unconscious, working through that into the super conscious. So really coming back into your heart space, doing a lot of inner child trauma healing. And then there's nutrition that nourishes. We're going to talk about nutrition because, again, the gut brain impacts the heart brain, impacts the head brain. And they've all got to be working together for the greater good. So the nutrition is a really important thing. So the whole idea is help you improve your health, mental wellness, inner vitality, increase your prosperity, deepen your sense of purpose, and so much more, all while you microdose. Or if you're coming off a deep dive, you can leverage this community as well. We focus on a legal ayahuasca medicine that's included with our VIP subscriptions. Both of them are VIP. I'm calling you a VIP member and subscriber to help you get more from the medicine. This is going to be a huge part of what helps you heal and really feel into your emotions. That's the ayahuasca. Now, if someone wants to do psilocybin, we have that option as well. You just got to talk to me privately. So the nice thing about the ayahuasca is it's legal. This particular source is legal, and it's from the Amazon. It's from the Shipibo tribe. You can travel with it. You can be anywhere in the world with this option. So if you're working on grief recovery, if you're working on addictive behaviors, if you're working on inner child trauma, ancestral generational trauma, religion or any kind of spirituality wounds, balancing the masculine, feminine hemispheres of your head and your heart, if that's even just that, this is going to help you with that. So those are the main ideas, and here are the 2 levels. And I have some really exciting news for you guys today. For you early adopters in this pre-launch in the month of August, you can save 50% off either one of these. I have a special promo code. You can just email me, and I'll make sure you guys have my email address here in a moment as we close. There's live classes each week, usually 2. 24/7, also demand class recordings in the portal. And there's so many recordings, I've lost count on the meditation, the breath work, the nutrition, all of the things. I'm even doing a bonus recording today for the new moon. We have a new moon coming up here next week, and I educate you on the energies of that and how it impacts you. You'll also get that included in the lower level as for $197, you'll get the month supply of that ayahuasca. Now, I do want you to commit to 2 months to be a part of this, but you can get 50% off in the month of August. So just email me and you can go from $197, it goes down to $98.50, which includes the medicine, which is unreal. It's a smoking deal. And then, of course, if you want a lot more, in my second tier for $497 a month, although 50% off of that is what, roughly like $298 or $250, roughly $250. It's going to get you 2 Zoom calls, small group, not webinar, but meeting. Superfoods nutrition, that's USA only. I'll ship you some superfoods nutrition to help with your gut brain. You'll also have access to online groups, actual Facebook group for community. And then you'll even receive 25% off of deep dive healing ceremonies with me and my partner, or even one-on-one integration calls. So for that alone, you're getting such a great value, such a great deal, because we really want you to heal. We don't want you to waste money and time. We also want you to have a good source of medicine. There's a lot of people out there getting injured or hurt just by having bad sources of medicine. So we want you to be safe, secure, and get results. That's our bottom line. And if you don't know which tier is for you, or maybe if one-on-one, I do have a third option, which is one-on-one coaching. I don't have any discounts on that at this time. I'm going to see who's interested here in the month of August, and I will reward you as an early adopter. If you have not been a client with me yet, I will give you a discount, but let's book that consult first to see if that's better for you. So you can take a look. Again, Microdosing for Health. It talks about all the different classes and then more testimonials. I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for joining. We're just about done. So sorry that you are just getting here now, but if there were any questions quickly, let me know. And I'm going to drop that link in the chat that has my consultation. Does anybody have any questions? All right. If there are no questions, I just want to encourage you. Will there be written instructions? Oh, thank you, Ryan. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. I do have a Google Doc. Yeah. So even if you had the lower level, Ryan, you first of all, I do want to make sure you're approved, got to be medication free. I did forget about that one detail. So that is going to be part of a process to just triple confirm that you're qualified to use the medicine itself. So once you pay, then I give you the jot form to fill out. And if there's any cause or reason to not allow you, then I can refund your money. But we got to communicate on that in that first week. Okay. So yes, there's going to be instructions written, and then I'll actually give everyone an onboarding call as well. I need to write that on there. You'll also get an onboarding call to book within the first couple weeks. So, oh, that's right. Here's my email address. So shoot me an email. And actually, if you want to, before you even pay, go to that link or shoot me an email, both, and make sure that you ask for the booking link, or it's on that website. It says, not sure which way you want to go, book a one-on-one consultation. And then I can also give you the 50% off promo code. That's only good for the month of August, by the way. So if you wait till September 1st, which is my birthday, which is kind of fun, then you'll pay full price. Any other questions before we close? I always like to close with a motivational quote. Oh, I'll be 46. September 1st is my birthday. Thanks for asking. In fact, if you're up for it, we're having a Magdalena and Friends 3-night ayahuasca ceremony in Joshua Tree. So if you're interested in coming, and yeah, right. And I'm a double Virgo. So I had a double dose of perfectionism and a double dose of inner critic, hard on myself. So if you have any of that, Ryan, I am here for you. Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. Well, shoot me an email, Ryan. Make sure you save the chat or click on that link, and then I'll share with you a quote, and then we'll wrap it up. So this is really important, and also encouraging you to consider this. If you take this path, it's not a quick fix, right? And at the same time, if you aren't taking this path, whatever healing path you take, just remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Confucius said that. And while that's frustrating as heck, it's really important to recognize that wherever you go, there you are, as within, so without. That's where I was on the hamster wheel of life 3 years ago. And now after all of this work, even though it was not for the faint of heart and it was not easy, now I'm such a happier, healthier, better version of myself, and so grateful for the journey. Okay. Well, thank you for attending. Whether you're watching this live or replay, I know I'm streaming in this inside of my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And this was just my first one of the month. I am going to be doing a second one to get the word out. So if you have friends, family, referrals, I do have an affiliate program. I welcome those referrals, and look forward to seeing you guys online or on email or on one of those consultations. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.